Well, of those 8 children, this story is about 2 of them, my Aunt Jane and my father Fred. You see, while my dad was in that full-body cast at Portsmouth Naval Hospital all those years ago, a not-so-common thing happened. The hospital had an outing. They loaded up wounded sailors and Marines onto school buses and took them out to the airport for a ceremony to be presented their Purple Hearts by President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson. Since my dad was in the full-body cast, they didn't want to move him, but they also didn't tell him what was going on. They just left him alone in the orthopedic ward. About the time everyone was getting back from the ceremony, my Aunt Jane called. And once someone plugged the phone in at his bed, she started asking all the usual questions I imagine a big sister would ask her little brother who was far away from home and recovering from a wound sustained in combat on foreign soil. So my dad tells her all the updates, including what happened that day, that a lot of the guys in the ward were taken out to the airport and presented their Purple Hearts by the president. My dad said it went quiet on the other end of the line, and Aunt Jane didn't say anything for a few moments, perhaps waiting to hear what she needed to hear. And when it never came, she asked him, "Did you get your Purple Heart?" My dad explained and assured her it was all right because he would rather wait till he got back to the SEAL team and they would give it to him there. Well, the next morning, the hospital staff moved my dad to a quiet room. You see, the quiet room was not a place anybody wanted to be. It had padded walls and ceiling, and if a patient screamed, no one would hear them. When it became clear that my dad was not having a procedure or any alteration to his cast, he started to become curious, and when he could, he asked the doctor what was going on. At first, the doctor didn't want to say much. Come to find out, he was told not to talk to him. But eventually, he told my dad that his sister, my Aunt Jane, had called the White House and blessed out the president for not coming to the hospital and for him not receiving his Purple Heart with everyone else. Well, this caused a big dust-up. Soon, people started filing into the quiet room, all Navy officers, commander and above. None of them said anything as they gathered close around my father's bed, but not too close. There had to be room enough for the 1-star to come up to the bed and hand my dad his Purple Heart. Once he did, he took a right face, left, and everyone followed behind. Afterward, the doctor came back into the quiet room and my dad told him he wanted to go back out into the ward. The doctor told him no, that he was told to leave him in the quiet room. My dad objected. He didn't want to stay in there alone. He wanted to be out in the ward with the rest of his friends. The doctor tried to object again, but this time my father told him that he would call his sister if he didn't take him back out to the ward. Oh my God, you wouldn't do that, would you? It didn't take 5 minutes and they were wheeling me back to my old position. My Aunt Jane, not 100 pounds soaking wet, a lady with a strong sense of right and wrong from Camden, Arkansas, had gotten an entire ward of officers on their feet because she stood up and took action for what she thought was right and necessary.